The Sinbad are the final sect we'll be looking at in this series. The Sinbad are unlike the Camarilla and the Anarchs. They do not follow the masquerade in any form, believe that vampires should rule the world. They were formed after the Convention of Thorns in 1493 as those vampires who would not follow it. They believe they shouldn't be limited by the masquerade or the orders of elders. There are many reasons for this, but the main one is the Sinbad do not follow their sires, even up to the second generation vampires, the antediluvians, who they saw as traitors to Cain, the first vampire. They see Cain as the main master of this world and as a divine figure. They call themselves the Sword of Cain to prove this point. In the Sinbad, might makes right, and weak vampires are quickly trampled under the feet of those more powerful kindred. The Sinbad excels at guerrilla warfare and mass embraces, the process of turning mortals into vampires. And many ruled North American cities until recently, when a phenomenon called the beckoning started calling older vampires to the Middle East for an unknown reason. The Sinbad see this beckoning as a sign for a great crusade, leading to many of them heading there. In the process, Sinbad strongholds like Atlanta and New York have fallen out of their control, and many of the remnants slayed by the Second Inquisition. Because of this, some Sinbad have taken refuge in the Anarch movement or have bent the knee to the Camarilla, not openly admitting their affiliation with the Sinbad. Notably, Clan La Sombra has joined the Camarilla, driven by their desire for power. A common misconception with the Sinbad is that they do not have organization. As a sect with freedom as its main purpose, it does, however, have strict organization. For example, a Sinbad member is usually part of a pack, a group of Sinbad members who all answer to the Ductus, the pack leader. There is also the pack priest, who is the principal of faith of the pact, and then above them are the bishops, the archbishops, priscos, cardinals, then regents. There are also factions made up in the Sinbad from extremists to the more chilled-back loyalists who simply wish to be free. This brief overview is brought to you by Pentex. Tired of normal life? Does all your encounters and boring products feel the same? Then look no further than Pentex. Pentex is one of the global leaders of products with lots of subsidiaries under our wing. Need a new toy for little Billy? Then look no further than buying from Avalon Incorporated. With our Mega Power Teen League, you won't have to look far. Even look for our plush Pocket Beast, a perfect gift for any occasion. Toys not your thing? Then why not take a look at our computing department with Knick-Knack Computing or play some video games with Deep Dive Games. Hungry? Why not bite down on some delicious O'Toli's burgers and fries? Yes, Pentex has it all. Even enjoy the latest in tabletop role-playing with our Black Dog subsidiary. There's nothing you can't trust Pentex with. As follows. The Regent. This is the title given to the vampire who is in control of the Sinbad. Who the current head of the Sinbad is unknown, and some believe the position is unfilled. The Archbishop. Following in line with their fanatical beliefs, they identify leaders of multiple domains to be the title of Archbishop. For comparison, an Archbishop is much akin to the title of Prince, were it to be put in terms of the Camarilla. They are responsible for upholding their domains and maintaining their duties to the Sinbad. These duties include coordination of clans to oversee any and all matters within the pack, working directly with the cardinals and acting as an advisory to their queries, grant removal of the initiated status of lesser members of the sect, and select lower-ranking members of the clergy. Bishop. Below the position of Archbishop, the bishop, which in terms of the Camarilla would be most akin to a primogen. Unlike the Camarilla, however, a bishop is more focused on single parts of unlife. In some domains, there is no Archbishop, but a group of bishops tasked with ruling over a domain. Duties included in this position include, and sometimes not limited to, working directly with the archbishops, providing counsel in clan affairs, like the archbishop, the authority to grant removal of initiated status, and promotion and demotion of lower-ranking Sinbad members. Pack priest. A pack priest will likely be more seen members of the Sinbad, acting as boots to the ground, spiritual leaders guiding in their pack in their eternal crusade against antediluvians. Their position hardly extends much past their pack mates. Priscus, the advisors of the Sinbad, they serve the Sinbad higher-ups by advising and seeking sympathetic ears. Cardinals, the Sinbad vampires who oversee a large area of land, and the archbishops who serve there. They usually are older, more experienced vampires. In conclusion, the Sinbad are a very tough and friendly sect of vampires, and we will have to wait and see how their crusades turn out.
Hey folks, welcome back to Animated Meals. In today's episode, Lily and I will be recreating one of Disney's more popular dishes, a simple homey dish, and my personal favorite dish of all time. Today, we will be recreating Lady and the Tramp's famous spaghetti and meatballs. To start today's episode and our recipe, we're going to start with prepping and cooking the meatballs. To start your meatballs, you're going to want to add a cup of stale breadcrumbs into a bowl, and then add half a cup of milk and let it sit for 5 minutes. Once it's sat for 5 minutes, then you can add your 1 pound of ground beef, and 1 pound of ground pork. Then 1 egg. Now half a cup of Italian breadcrumbs, two teaspoons of salt, and sprinkle some pepper to your liking. Next, you'll want to put half a cup of diced onions, and half a cup of fresh chopped parsley. A teaspoon of garlic powder, then 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and you'll want to sprinkle red pepper flakes to your liking. This will depend on your spice tolerance. And half a cup of Parmesan cheese. Then you'll want to mix everything, but don't overmix. You don't want to overwork the meat. Now that everything is mixed, you can start to roll out your meatballs. You'll want to put them on a pan because after rolling them out, you'll want to let them sit for 15 to 20 minutes in the fridge. This helps them set for when you cook them. Now that the meatballs have had time to set, you can put olive oil into a pan, mix it around so it covers. Then you'll want to put the meatballs in and sear them on all sides for 3 to 4 minutes on each side. You'll want the stove to be over medium heat. Then once they're done cooking, you'll want to remove them from the pan. Now that the meatballs have been prepped and cooked, we're going to move on to making the sauce. But before we get into that, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Sarah's Book Nook. For my fellow readers out there, and those who genuinely just interested in picking up reading, it can be frustrating when you're in a book slump or don't know what to read. But luckily for you, Sarah's Book Nook helps you find new books to read. Oh my God, I can't find it. By looking at books you've read in the past or genuinely just picking out books that you may like or may be interested in. So if you're interested in a new book, check out Sarah's Book Nook on Instagram. With that being said, we'll return to our episode. Once you've removed the meatballs, you can start on your sauce. You'll add 3 tablespoons of butter, a half a cup of diced onions, and 5 chopped garlic cloves into the pan. Once fragrant, you'll add a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, some red pepper flakes to your liking, and originally you would add white wine to this recipe, but we will be substituting the white wine for chicken broth. We put half a cup of chicken broth, you'll put 2 cans of tomato sauce into the pan. Then fill up 1 empty can and pour it in. Then add a heavy pinch of salt and sprinkle some pepper to your liking. Add 2 bay leaves, a half a cup of parsley, some Italian seasoning, Once everything is mixed, then you can add back in your meatballs. Then a handful of basil on top and cover for 45 to 50 minutes. While we wait for the sauce to be done, let's talk a bit about the history of spaghetti and how it got here to America. Pasta's origin is a bit difficult to trace, but what we do know is that dried pasta became popular in the 13th century in Italy, becoming a staple for Italy. There are a few ways in which spaghetti ended up in America. Still, the common one is mass immigration. Many Italian immigrants brought this dish with them. But the invention of spaghetti and meatballs happened in America. You see, meat wasn't as affordable in Italy as it is here in America. So with lower costs and greater accessibility led to the creation of spaghetti and meatballs. Now, let's get back to our dish. In the last 20 minutes of your sauce cooking with the meatballs, you can then start your pasta. You'll want to follow the instructions on the back of the pasta box. Once your pasta is done, you'll want to strain it. And run cold water over the pasta to stop the cooking. Then you'll go to your sauce and take out the greens and the meatballs. Then put the pasta in the sauce. After you mix in the pasta with the sauce, you can then add back in the meatballs. Well, folks, that's going to conclude today's last and final episode. I look forward to seeing you at our wrap. I wanted to say thank you for all your support and have a wonderful week.